Welcome. Yes. Hi, it's Darcy the Rock and Terry Osty, and you are listening to the Agent Tech Mastery podcast. Welcome. Oh, there you go. You hear me twice. That revolutionizes the real estate business. I've had almost 3 decades in information technology, and Terry Osty has been an agent since 2007. And we are your guides to streamlining operations, saving time, and boosting your revenue. That's important. Discover cutting edge technologies, systems, apps, and a mindset, which we are going to talk about in the next one or two podcasts for a profitable and integrated business. If you want to know how to get there, you are in the right place. So today, what are we talking about today, Terry?
Today we're doing websites.
Yes. It's interesting, I think, that there's so many options for agents, and I think everybody gets a little overwhelmed, especially if you're new. But we're just going to kind of go over the different options that you have and kind of what we recommend. So, first off, number one, you need a domain, right? And you understand what that means, everybody. You know, you can always ask questions in our Facebook group, always do Agent Tech Mastery, and ask there. You can contact us. But I think that there's a lot of confusion between the word domain and website.
But even before we go there,
Yeah.
you know what? We've been around in this industry for a long time. Some agents say, I don't need a website,
Oh, okay, good one.
right? Right? You've heard that. I've
Yes.
heard that.
Yes. Well, so yes, everybody should have a website because it's really a way to prove that you're real, right? And there's a few issues that people do with websites and domains, but should you have, I'm just doing this live as I'm talking, because another thing that we should talk about another time is AI. And I'm just going to tell you, should you have a website as a real estate agent, as an agent?
So while you're
Okay.
typing that, Darcy, one of the things with websites too, and I know some people have websites, but
Yep.
they actually got their website in 1998
Never updated it.
and it's never been updated.
There's so many. Okay. Oh my gosh, Terry, see, it's awesome you're here because there's things that I just don't think of. Number one, it when you own a domain, um, that means then you can use, and I'll use agenttechmastery.com. I buy the domain from a registrar, which is like GoDaddy, which is one of the most popular ones. There's a million other registrars, but you buy the domain from there. Now it's mine as long as I pay for it. And then I can host it somewhere or redirect it somewhere. So it really is like just to show that you are really an agent, and that when you email people, like if I emailed you, my email is darcy@agenttechmastery.com. So everybody knows this now, that everything after the at is a website, so they can go check it out and they go to my website. If you are using your name at yourdomain.com and you don't have a website, that's a problem. Have you lost business because of it? And then Terry, your other example that you said, oh my goodness, I don't see it as much as I did before because I think people are a little more savvy, but you're correct. Let's say you got a website, I don't know, 15 years ago, and you never look at it again. Okay, there's many problems. So I can almost immediately tell if people have a really old website and looks crappy, and there's other reasons you need to update it. But number one is that there's space on the right and left hand side, because back in the old days, you couldn't use the full width of the screen. Okay, so now websites are really inexpensive, I think, for what you get. It used to be more expensive. And then, so you buy the domain, right? Like agenttechmastery.com. And let's use Terry's. We'll give you show yours. So your website is okanaganvalley.homes. So if you type that, it goes to his website, which is hosted by a real estate website company. But there are other options. You could point it to your brokerage profile. And that's what I recommend new agents do while you're kind of tight on money, is just buy a domain, which is cheap, and then point it to your brokerage profile. And then if you ever move, then you just go in and you point it to the other brokerage profile. That makes sense, Terry?
Yep, no, it totally does. One of the other things that I wanted to mention too, and this was a big deal a while ago. I'm not sure if it's such a big deal today, but before, when you had your website and you got it hosted
Yeah.
by a provider, you actually had to specifically make sure that it was mobile device friendly.
Yeah.
I think it's done. Is it done automatically these days?
Well,
Or
so if you're talking about that person
yeah,
that has a 15-year-old website, no.
yeah, okay,
But
got
if you, in the last, I think how many years now, that all the website hosting providers I've ever used in the last, or looked at in the last, probably, oh my gosh, probably 7, maybe 10 years, they all come with mobile friendly. But that's a good one. I was preaching that for a long time. Is like,
all right.
is it
Mhm.
mobile friendly? But and how do you check that? Well, just go on your mobile device and look at your website, and does it make sense? Like, is it easy to read? Can you look at everything? Because it has to be able to like shrink down on that small tiny screen in order for, people to see everything. And so does it look okay? If it doesn't look okay, talk to the people who host it. The other thing that I see agents do, and I really don't recommend this unless there's two other things you can do. One is create your own website using something like WordPress or Wix, or some company that allows you to create your own website. Um, or you can hire someone to do a custom website. So let's talk about those two different options as well. So let's say you decide that you're trying to save money and you want to do your own. Think about how much time and effort it is, unless you actually know how to build websites and know how to create all that coding and other things that will probably be needed. How much time and effort is going to take you? I cringe a little bit when I see a WordPress website, because there's a couple things. What I've seen with agents is that they either did it themselves, and to me, it's really noticeable, or they hired a WordPress expert to do it. Now, the money that you spent with a WordPress expert is probably better used just finding a real estate hosting service. Because what happens, and I've seen this, I mean, countless times, that somebody hires somebody to custom do their website, and then that person doesn't want to do that anymore, or quits, or whatever. Now you have no idea what they've done. And now you have to hire somebody else to fix any issues or whatever you need to do on the website. So in the long run, it's going to cost you more money. That makes sense. Yeah. Terry,
Mhm.
you got to talk.
Yeah, no,
He's nodding. He
I have for
forgets
sure.
because this goes to YouTube first.
Okay, okay,
And so
okay.
you guys can watch us, but
Yeah.
it's also, we're stripping the audio out of here for the podcast.
Yeah, no,
Um,
no, for sure. And back in the day when they first started providing these templated websites, they
yeah,
were okay, right?
yeah,
They were like they're inexpensive.
yeah,
Templates were kind of cool. Well, okay, kind of okay, cool. And then it was really easy to go in on the back end and kind of fool around with some stuff and tweak some stuff. And
yeah.
then today, there's some amazing, really good looking website providers, the templates that they have.
Real estate website providers. Yeah,
Estate websites right out of the
yeah,
box, so to
yeah.
speak. And then you can actually hire those companies to tweak it for you if you like, right?
Yeah, and a lot of times what happens, and this is my what I've seen kind of consistently when I'm helping agents or Terry, is that when you're going to go to a website, a real estate website hosting company, they all kind of ask you the same things. Tell us, what are your logo? What's your colors? Give us 3 websites that you like. And they kind of try and mimic everything that you tell them. And then you'll have to provide some of the content for your bio. This is a pet peeve of mine, you guys. Okay. It drives me bonkers when agents don't actually review what has been done. So when I'm looking at agents' websites, I'll go to the about section and see what it says. And if it just says, hi, that standard thing that comes with every real estate website hosting company, hi, I am your specialist, blah, blah, blah. And it's just junk. It's junk crap. It doesn't tell me anything about it. You need to curate content in some of the pages. A lot of them you don't. And you can also pay extra for an IDX feed, so it brings your leads in.
Mhm.
Um, my opinion on that, and I'd love to hear yours, Terry, is if you're paying extra for IDX leads, I don't think anybody goes to your website to search for properties. They go to
Yes.
realtor.com or realtor.ca.
Yeah. So there are, yeah, most people will use a national or
Yeah.
larger search engine for real estate, especially in Canada, because we have realtor.ca, which is everything right
Well, ours
coast.
is different. So
Yes,
yeah,
totally
yeah,
different states is piecemeal, from what I understand.
yeah.
But yeah, the and I find too, and I'm not a huge fan of cold leads. I know people run their businesses and cold leads are part of their business, and they understand that, for every thousand, they're only going to get a very, very, very tiny percentage. So
What?
it's a lot of work and a lot of effort to filter through these.
You
And I was just
missed my
talking to a
joke.
local aid. Sorry,
You missed my joke.
I'm totally missed
You
it.
said they're going to get 1,000 leads.
No, no, a
And
thousand, well, 1,000 leads, let's say.
yeah, and I said, and one good one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's the average. I was just talking
Sorry.
to an agent out of Vancouver and here in Canada, and he has a system where it is does lead capture on
Yeah,
some portal somewhere. And he says, Terry says, this is the kind of system that I don't have time for. I'm a busy agent doing my agent stuff.
yeah.
He says this is kind of situation that would probably need to hire somebody or have maybe a full-time assistant and just let
Yes.
them 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, trying to manage this amount of
Manage
data
the
that's
leads.
coming in, this amount of this lead information that's coming in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Filter through them. So
Well,
yeah,
oh, sorry.
I think you mentioned this earlier. It's having that website is the general public's ability to see who you are and what you're all about without you even knowing it. So this kind of this interview that goes on in the background of whether they think you're the person that they should be choosing to work with.
Yeah.
And the challenge is that you don't know whether people have rejected you or not.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because I think that's when I see and I see it so often. It's interesting. I've seen an agent that's been around for like 15 years and has never had a website and uses their like Yahoo email. Like that's not a business.
Mhm.
And how much business are you losing because you don't have a proper website that people know and can go to? Um, it just doesn't make sense to me
Yep.
because
Mm.
no one will know how much business they've lost because of having a not a proper setup for websites and domains and emails and all that fun stuff.
And even a precursor to that, because you talked about, let's say you are going to hire this company, they're going to provide you a website and
Yeah,
blah blah, and they're going to ask you for branding and colors and all kind of stuff. I find too in the industry that a lot of agents don't have any kind of branding. I know they have the brokerage branding, and sometimes you align your personal branding with that, or you just
yeah,
create your own personal branding. And I had a company in Vancouver give me a complimentary branding package. I don't know if you remember that, like
yeah,
years ago. And branding your brand, whether it's your brand or in conjunction with your brokerage brand or however you're going to package that, that's kind of the foundation of your house, right? You need a foundation. So without any kind of branding or any kind of identity, how are you going to identify yourself and have that consistent message throughout all of your channels, whether it's your website, your social media, et
yeah,
cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So fundamentally, you should get branded first,
yeah. If yeah,
right?
I agree, and that's really like your logos and your colors and your tagline.
Mhm.
I agree. Again, new agents, I don't think that's really
Not the person to do
necessary
this.
to run a business, but I do think branding's obviously it's important, right?
Yeah,
For sure. And
yeah.
then to kind of tag on to what you said about sites with lead gen. So that's another whole other monster. Okay. So we're talking about you can have a WordPress site you built or someone did. You can have a custom website. You can have your website hosted on a website hosting company. You can use your brokerage URL that's your profile, or you can also pay a company that is a website that also has leads gen in it. And here's the not a problem with that, but I think that most people don't think about. So you're paying extra because they are supposed to get you leads, right? But those that system is attached to them. You're paying them. So just hear me out. So let's say you use it for a couple of years and then you decide to that you're you don't want to spend the money anymore. Well, now all those leads are sitting in there. Now, most of them are crappy leads anyhow. But what I always tell people, whether this is all again about CRM management, is that you should, when it runs through the lead gen CRM through your website or through your brokerage CRM, when they become a good lead, which is like what, 10% of the time, right? If that,
Yeah, we can see that. Yeah.
then you bring it into your CRM to nurture them. Because most leads are shitty. People give you the wrong phone number, the wrong email. And it's just why, like you said, you're going to hire someone to go through this data. But what normally happens if you have a proper lead gen system is that they have a process, and you should know the process that they have, because I know that a lot of agents were mad with one of the big, huge lead gen companies, because the people would get mad because they would text multiple times in a day, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then they'd be emailing them, and the people were getting irritated. So you need to know what the process is and make it so it's what you want, right? So maybe
Yeah,
it's 10 emails and 3 texts or whatever, and then if they never respond, well, that's a bad lead. And once someone does start communicating, then bring them into your CRM and manage it that way. Does that make sense?
yeah, totally. The fellow I was just talking to in Vancouver, on his
Yeah.
system, once they're into their system, they get into their funnel. This
Yes.
funnel.
Yep.
In that funnel, like exactly what you're saying, is like a text every second day, an
Yep.
email, and it's like pester, pester, pester. Well, I shouldn't say
Yes.
pester, it's
No.
called nurturing. Nurturing that lead through their system. But the general public doesn't want to typically want to get pestered all the time. And a lot of people, that's why they put the fake name and everything in there,
That's right.
because they don't want to get bugged, right? So
Yeah.
that's the challenge with that as well. And I think in our business, in our industry, the last thing we want to do is, be pissing people off
Yeah.
by being a pest.
Yeah, exactly. Because they know, I think everyone knows that, you hit stop on your phone and that'll stop the text. But
Yeah.
I just think that agents sign up and say, yeah, go do it, but they don't know what the process is. You should know what the process is. So, if you sign up for lead gen through your KV Core, Bold Trails, or Agent Locator, whatever system you're using, what happens? So sign up. Every time we are testing things, well, I test things. Every time we sign up for something, I test it to make sure I understand. So they get an email when you sign up, they get an email. Then they get a text. Then 2 days later, is it the next day? What is the process that happens? And you should be asking them, how often do we communicate with this type of lead? How many emails? What's the funnel? Terry mentioned the word funnel. They call them funnels or workflows or drip campaigns. There's a lot of different words for the same thing. But what's the process that happens when someone goes to your website and logs in to find more information about a property? How often are we keeping in touch? Make sense?
Yeah, totally. One of the other features now we're talking about drips and leads and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. One of the other features that are on a lot of websites these days are the pop-up where it says come and contact me and have a conversation.
Yeah.
So if you are using those functionalities on your websites, just
Yep.
make sure you're aware
Yep.
and how you're going to be contacted as an agent, because
Oh God.
the minute
Yes.
someone's sitting behind their computer, they want to talk to you
Yep.
and they fill in this, hey, talk to me now
Yep.
button, and you don't talk
Yep.
to them. How frustrating is that?
Do you want to know what I've seen? You guys, this is so important. Okay. I've been doing this for almost 20 years with agents, and I've seen everything under the sun. And I have seen people talk about this many times. So there's 2 things I've seen. So Terry's talking about the contact us on your website, which you should have, but you need to test it. Don't say they said yes, it works. Well, you don't know. People have told me that when they're with a brokerage and they have that on there, that the leads were going to somebody else. You
Geez,
think
really?
they're going to tell you? They don't know. They probably don't even know. So
Wow.
you need to test especially if you're not controlling it, you're using brokerage stuff. What happens when people want to contact you? What happens when they sign up for something on your website? This is more if you're using a brokerage owned one. because there's more agents and they're controlling kind of what's happening. Really, really important. I really can't stress that enough. So
Yeah.
thanks for bringing that up, Terry, because when this was fairly recently, I was testing an agent and I said, "Did you get it?" She says, "No." Then I talked to her the next week. She says, "My colleague came and told me that she got it." And
What?
like, what? So how long have you been with this brokerage? For a year. So anytime anyone has ever filled out that form, she didn't get it.
Wow.
Like that's really bad. So again, test, 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 test. And then that brings me up to we're going to have a full podcast about this, but this is just, well, it's here because it's relevant.
Before you go there, I just want to kind of
Yeah.
summarize what we kind of
Yes.
did. So you're saying you have kind of three choices. You either build your own website from scratch, WordPress or what
Yes.
have you.
Don't do that.
Okay. Yeah. And then, or you hire a company that has templated
Yes.
websites that you can quasi customize and change a little bit.
And
And
you
then
get
the other
help.
one, yeah,
That's the one I recommend, is
most
because
people probably will do that, right?
no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
No.
Okay. And
So
then the other one
because
is
you get,
hiring
sorry,
somebody
just a sec,
who,
go
oh,
back.
okay.
Because the one where you were paying a monthly fee to host a website, all the ones I've seen, the support is incredible. And I don't know, the thousands and thousands that are out there, but it means you're not alone. You don't have to figure, oh, I got to upload a logo somewhere. I don't know how to do that. Well, they'll do it for you or show you how to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other
So
one is hiring a company that'll actually build you a custom website,
yes.
not a WordPress one or one of those, but like a really nice, it's
Yep.
gonna cost thousands of dollars plus to get this thing done, right? Custom website.
More than thousands of dollars, but yes.
Yeah, for sure. So you have kind of three choices.
Yeah. Or you use your name dot your brokerage.com. That's what I call a brokerage profile.
Yeah.
But again, you want to own your domain and point it there so that if you ever leave that brokerage, your people have your domain name, your website name, and you just redirect it somewhere else.
Yeah, because a lot of brokerages, part of their offering is that we're going to give you your own email address, your own brokerage email address. We're going to
Yeah.
give you the brokerage CRM, and we're going to give you the brokerage website.
Yes.
Those are the dangling the carrots for you as to entice you.
Yes.
So then you say yes, and you sign up for all of that.
Yes. And the one thing, okay, there's normally I say, out of all those three things that you said, the website's okay. I wouldn't use a brokerage email ever. You can listen to our podcast. I've been preaching this for decades. I wouldn't use a brokerage CRM fully. Again, I've been preaching about that. The redirection to the if you don't want to spend your own money, you can do that. The only thing that I think that you're losing out on by not hosting it somewhere else is, and I'm not really going to get into this because I am in no means an expert, but the SEO value. If you have your own website and it's, people are searching and they go there and, there's SEO value. If you're just directing it somewhere else, I don't believe there's as much, because then you leave that brokerage and you direct it somewhere else. I'm not sure if that's the same. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
And SEO is a whole nother animal
Oh,
to say.
yeah.
And I know me as an agent, I probably have once a week somebody who has an SEO company wants me to hire them so they can improve my.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody's out there, is it money well spent? I don't think it is, but maybe some people have had.
I'd love to hear from that because I actually haven't. I've heard a lot of horror stories where people spend a lot of money and get no difference on the rankings. Um, I probably know more than the average person, but I am by no way an expert on SEO because it's way too complicated for me. But the other thing we were talking about as well is on websites, what I see a lot of is people saying, sign up for my newsletter. And I'd love to hear how many people that have that on their website actually have even one person sign up. And part of that is why? What's the enticement to sign up? Does that make sense? So instead of sign up for my newsletter, because do we really want to get bombarded with more crap in our inbox? Or if you give them a reason to sign up, right? Like join our monthly club where we give prizes and talk about local events or something different that's like, oh, okay. Now then maybe I have a reason to sign up. There's a benefit to me. There is no benefit to me to saying sign up for my newsletter.
Yeah, and I
Right.
remember we talked about this before. You've probably you preached this for over a decade. Is while you're buying and selling real estate, that occupies as a buyer and a seller, that occupies your mind probably 24/7 during that process.
The realtor or
Oh, the client.
the client? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for realtors, yeah, it's 24/7, 365.
Stop that.
But for clients,
Yeah.
it's 24/7 for the time that they're actually involved in that process. After that process is completed, more than likely they're not interested in finding out about new listings or what's
Real
happening.
estate. Yeah.
They're thinking about decorating
Okay.
new
You know
school.
what? We're gonna do a whole thing on newsletters, so we're not even gonna get into that. So
Yeah.
this is just a little bit about that, you guys, because it's so important. It really is. But it really like what exactly what Terry's saying, but we're going to talk about that in another podcast. But every website should have a sign up for something. But my guess is that if you just say sign up for my newsletter, no one's going to sign up except maybe your mom. Right? Like there's just no incentive to sign up. So give them an incentive. And again, we'll talk a little bit about content when we talk about newsletters in our next podcast. Have we covered everything? I think we covered
Yeah,
everything.
so you got the three kind of choices for websites, and then
Hmm.
you have the broker website that you usually offered,
Yeah,
through your brokerage, which gets, if you ever leave that brokerage, gets turned off immediately.
that's right.
So
Yeah.
just be aware of that.
Be aware of that with any, when you leave the brokerage, your email, your website, your CRM all gets turned off. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And then, like we talked about before, it's kind of just like having a presence. It's kind of like a resume or whatever you want to call it, just of the services that you provide, who you are, how detail oriented you are. Do you pay attention to things? Like if you have a website with broken links, what's a client
Yes.
going to think? A client's going to think, oh my gosh, this person can't even manage their website. How are they going to manage a transaction?
Oh my goodness, you open
Sorry,
up
I opened
another
up a
can of
can.
worms. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I see this again where you go about us and it's a picture of you 10 years ago or 15 years ago. You don't look like you. It says about us, you're just one person. You don't have your bio updated. The link to the Facebook page is broken. The link to the email isn't working. Like, set it and forget it isn't really a good thing. Like, you really should be looking at these things probably once every 6 months. We recommend agents look at their online presence, including their website, every 6 months. You can reach out to us at atm@agenttechmastery.com. That's TECH. And ask us for our checklist. We have a checklist that you can have about what you need to check at least every 6 months, once a year max, to find out what are people finding out about you online. Okay, is your website work? Are the menus work? Are the testimonials there? What is broken on the website? Because stuff happens. We get it. You set up something 5 years ago and then you forgot that, oh, you need to also update the link on here, 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 and here. And then for the last 5 years that link's been broken, and have you lost business because of it? Maybe. We'll
Yeah,
never know.
and I'll give you an example of that because when we built our house, we interviewed a number of builders, and we went to see one builder, and he had a home office downstairs,
Yeah.
and he's a fairly well-known builder, but there's papers everywhere, folders on the carpet, and just it was just stuff everywhere. And I for the hour that we were there, I thought, oh my goodness, if he can't even manage his own business. Like this is a real shit show, right? And if he
Yeah.
can't do that, how is he going to manage a complicated build? Because building a home is complicated. There's
Yep.
so many processes and people,
Yep.
and so we didn't hire them, of course, because
Well,
it's
and both of us walked out of there and we're like, looked at each other and went, oh my God, how's this guy even been around for this long? Because
yeah,
it was a shit show. It was
what?
horrible. There was papers, stacks, files everywhere. I'm like, oh my God. So he obviously doesn't have a CRM
Yeah.
and he's managing all these builds by paper. It was like, yeah, we both looked at each other. Well, we're not using him. But did he know that? No, because
Yeah,
did he
that
follow up with us?
no,
Nope.
no, exactly. But that's the same idea with your website. If
Yeah.
people are sitting there evaluating you based on your website, you have broken links and your picture is 20 years old, and
Yeah.
it's looks archaic, they're going to go, most people are smart these days. It's not, this isn't 1907. Well, I shouldn't say people weren't smart back then, but people are connected now because we have the tools to be
Yeah,
connected.
yeah,
And people are just a little more aware of what's going on because there's so much information out there so easily.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you need to be pretty sharp that way just to make sure that people, when they do look at your stuff, they they have a level of confidence in your abilities just based upon your electronic presence, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it really is like if you look in links or people go there and they click on one link and it's broken, they click on another one that's broken or says contact us and the form doesn't pop up or whatever it might be, you've lost them. They're going to go find somebody else that actually their things work because, it's the biggest investment of their lives and they want to rely on you. And you have to have a proper functioning business with a proper website. Make
Yeah,
sense?
exactly.
I think that's probably it. I think, we're going to do newsletters next one.
Hmm.
Talk about newsletters and AI, how we can use AI for newsletters. And we'll have to try and do that via voice and not show you. So this is going to be interesting. But we'll talk about newsletters because I think that there's a big problem in the industry where people are sending the wrong message to the wrong people or the right message to the wrong people.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that. Perfect. All right. So, again, this is Darcy and Terry from Agent Tech Mastery. We are your source for real estate information. And if you need anything, you can always reach out to us at atm@agenttechmastery.com. We're happy to help out. We have a Facebook group. You can email us. Just give us a shout if you have any questions about anything we talked about. And you can listen to this podcast on any of your favorite podcasts. We just got approved on Apple. So we're now on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. Yeah, it's awesome. And other podcasting systems. Okay. Have a great day, you guys. And thanks again.